This classroom in the box was so fun and engaging. Girl, I loved it, loved it, loved it. And like I've been in the field a really long time. Me and my daughter did that activity together. I kept all the pieces. I brought the box to my school and we started moving our rooms around. I loved it. It was so fun. Hey guys, Erica Sakosho here with the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. I am so excited. It's Wednesday. That means it's guest day. And I cannot even believe who's on our show today. I'm so excited. If you have YouTube, you know who was on our show because you must have seen her a million times. She is an OG. I have been watching her forever. She's laughing and blushing right now, but I have the one and only Andrea Dickerson on our show. So you're welcome for bringing her on. I'm super excited. I know you are too. So I'm going to let you talk for the four people in the world that don't know who you are in the childcare space. I'm going to give you a second just to give folks a little bit of background about you, honey.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Erica, for allowing me to be on your platform and to talk to the four people who don't know who I am so they can get to know who I am and what it is that I do. So again, I want to say thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So tell folks who maybe don't know that you are literally the expert when it comes to systems, because we're going to talk today a little bit about systems and why you need them in a child care center, especially if you're the leader and you really want to benefit and have some structure for your children, for your teachers, in your program. So how did you come about putting this amazing program of systems? Your systems have systems.
Yes. So, Erica, let me tell you a little bit about how I became known as America's #1 childcare success coach and how I really stepped into the area of becoming a systems-based program. And when I started out in childcare, I never worked in childcare before. I never managed people before. I never had any children of my own at this time. And I don't know anything about childcare. But I enter into a market that I'm spiritually and divinely led to do. And when I entered into this market, I knew nothing about handbooks. I knew nothing about managing people. Like, literally, I've never walked into a childcare center before. Like, none of my friends and I discussed childcare. So I'm like 19, 20, 21, somewhere up in there. And I'm thinking to myself, what is it that I want to do? So I pray about it. God leads me into childcare. And when I get started, there's no systems in place. So I start out with this childcare program that can hold over 200 children. But I struggled to get 60 children. It took me like 12 months to get 60 children. And of course, you all know I went through turnover, like crazy turnover. And then I found out that my prayer came true where the Lord did bless me to have my own child. And so I found out that I'm pregnant. I'm running a program that I know nothing about. All I know is I just have a desire and a love to care for kids. I find out I'm pregnant and I can't get the enrollment built because I don't know how to lead people. I don't know how to build enrollment. I'm just really walking by faith. Fast forward 12 months within managing this company. Now, I wasn't doing bad. I was still not knowing what I was doing, still in the high six figures, but still didn't know what I was doing. And my dad got sick. My son became paralyzed on the left side of his body with Bell's palsy. So now I'm having to juggle mom life that my dad is not feeling his best. I don't know what's about to happen with that. So I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, I gave in and I just sold that location. I sold it because I didn't know what I was doing. Like, even my handbooks was a cookie cutter handbook. I had to copy and paste from a whole nother company's handbook. So I knew then, like, I'm struggling. So we sold that location. And by this time, my credit is gone. All the income that I had coming in was gone. And I had to start from the bottom. But I remember praying about this, and I'm going to move past this, but I just really need for those four people that don't know me to really feel me on this one. So
Yeah.
I prayed about it, and when I prayed about it, what happened was I said these words to the Lord. I said, "God," because I was not meant to work for nobody, and I was not I was not making it on jobs. I was not. You like that too, Erica?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I get to this point in my journey, so I'm like, "God, if you give me a chance one more time to be my own boss, to be an entrepreneur, and to work in childcare, I promise you I will not stop until I win." Let me tell you, God has a way. So
Yeah.
this time he starts me over with an opportunity with my taxes. I take my taxes, I start over in a little house, 700 square feet, only can have 6 children. I worked that house location. I put systems in place at the house location. I hired 2 people. When I hired 2 people to help me, I also stepped out and I hired a curriculum specialist. I hired me someone with a degree. I was like, okay, I don't want to make lesson plans on Saturday and Sunday. I want to be free to do other things. Can you help me create my lesson plan? Like, even to this day, I have my lesson plans professionally done and created on this for each semester because I hired somebody with the experience. So I went from running a 700 square foot house, no more than 6 kids. We grew to 12. And the way we grew to 12 was I had to give up the bedrooms. So then my family and I, we end up sleeping on the floor. And we slept on the floor. We gave up the bedrooms. We turned those rooms into classrooms. So now I can have 12. And then we outgrew the 12. I was over capacity. So we opened up another group home. So now I'm running 2 group homes, hiring staff all over again. And so then we built from those 2 group homes to our third location, which was a childcare center. All were operating at the same time. But in the midst of that, I started a nanny agency because I needed the money to open up my larger facility. And remind you, my credit was not in its best place, so nobody was financing me. So I had to really start from my own get up and go. I had to get up and go. So I had to learn how to put systems in place on a level where there was only 6 children so that I can free myself up to generate more income. So I put systems in place, ran group homes, ran my nanny agency, made the money, put money into my larger facility, got that opened up. I opened up my larger facility. We got to like 100+ children, opened up my fourth location. So now it's like I'm just growing, my nanny agency growing, and it's all being managed through systems. So I didn't know that that's what I was doing though. Again, I didn't know. I just
Yeah, yeah.
I promise. Like, I won't stop until I win. And so, with me managing multiple childcare centers, now I'm running, my after school program is running 100 children a week, a day.
Yep. Mine too. Yeah.
So, for me, being a little girl in the South, I was the first Black woman with a commercial childcare site of its size in my city. And then I became the first childcare owner, no matter the color, with multiple
Hmm.
sites in my city. So my city then created a day for me. And my day is
Oh,
Early Childhood Day. And we celebrate it every May. We celebrate the community of childcare in my city. I have a whole proclamation because I worked the opportunity that was given to me.
I love that. That is an amazing story, which explains why you are equally amazing. So, yeah, well, girl, you're winning now. Just in
Oh
case you
boy.
didn't know, now you're winning. So, yeah, well, I'm not sure I'm going to top that. So that's the end of the show, guys. No,
Just say not doing it now.
no. So that's really what inspired you to prioritize the systems. Then was because it was really necessity, and you just kept saying, "What do I need in my business to make this work correctly?" You knew what wasn't working for you. You learned by trial and error, really, right? Um,
I failed.
yeah.
I failed the first time, but I made a commitment, and that's where
Hmm.
the difference between systems and the difference between systems that don't work. This is where they meet head and head because you can't want to have an organization that's organized but not be committed to the organization process. And so
Yeah.
that's what really allowed me to evolve in this space is because I made a commitment to myself and to God that if he gave me this opportunity, that I'm not stopping until I win. So I have like a winning vision for myself. I have a winning vision for my life. And until I have accomplished those things and he has said it is finished, it is done, I'm still committed to the work.
Yeah. So, can you share some specific examples of how implementing effective systems can positively impact the children in a center?
Absolutely. So, in today's day and time, we want to understand that without structure and without systems, it causes the children to create their own structure and create their own routine, which is impacting them because now they have a way that they want to do things in your classroom, and your teachers are having to follow your rules to be able to do what you want done, but the children have already set their own system, so to speak, in
Mhm.
the room. So with today's fast-paced economy, children are much wiser, children are moving a lot faster. We want to make sure that our rooms are set up with a framework to support the vision of the organization. And so with this space that we're in right now, we're talking to, directors and owners. A lot of the vision that will be implemented in the classroom has to come from a visionary. So you take the vision from the visionary and you provide the proper structure in your classroom to support that vision. So here's the secret though, Erica, that a lot of people overlook is that structure means that there's a format in place that you follow to do the setup. And the setup is where the physical items, I call them equipment. The
Mhm.
equipment is set up in a way that supports the child's day. And that the way that the child now works throughout the classroom is from the way the classroom is set up. So let me give you an example because sometimes it's easier for me to show you than to tell you. That's why I have a physical school of systems, because sometimes it's easier for a person to see it and do it than to just hear a person talk about it. But
Yeah.
to be as descriptive as I can. So, for all of you all that's listening, follow along with me for a second. Just like close your eyes and imagine this. Imagine you're walking to your classroom door. When you look in your classroom, you look to the left and you look to the right. Do you have a formula when you look to the left and look to the right? Most of you are going to say, "Formula, what do you mean, coach?" Okay, let me break this down. So, now, eyes closed, let's focus. Our formula with the school of systems is that when you look to the left, the left begins the child's day. So whatever center is the loudest and begins the child's day should be the first response that the child encounters when they walk into the room. And then after you train your children to jumpstart their day by following your loud to quiet process, you set up all your centers to support the child's day. So for us, when a child enters into our classroom, to the left is their coat racks. You put your book bag up, and then typically the next thing that we ask the child to do is to go wash their hands to begin their day. And then once they wash their hands, according to your program setup, you may have where your children have free play, or you may have where your children begin their day at the tables. Where whatever your process is, do not allow that student to go into free play or to the table until they do the first step, which is check in. So your check-in typically happens in your circle time area. This allows for the child to calm down and be subjective to the teacher, getting instruction from the teacher, meeting and greeting with the teacher, and getting the directions for their day, talking, building relationship. And then once they check in, they can move on to the pre-assigned setup that's been curated for their day. Now, I know I said a lot right there. I hope you all were able to follow along with me, but that is why systems in the classroom is so essential, because it jumpstarts the child day and it also repositions the relationship where the children has come into the room understanding that there's a routine to follow and not creating their own routine for the day.
Yeah. And what I loved about the way that you set up, because I was able to see it in person when I came out to Georgia to
Mhm.
your conference, I
Yeah.
loved, yeah, I loved that it also aligned with like Eckers for those of you who have quality rating systems in your state and you have to like use the Eckers or ITERs to set up your room. The way that it's set up, noisy activities away from quiet activities, in the flow of the room, just like she said, like literally that's what it looks like when you look. You can see very quickly moving and grooving was on this side of the room, and a little bit calmer was on the other side. So even just as a child can even look and they can tell what type of what type of body movement should they have, what type of language, how loud their voices should be, just by where they were in the classroom. So
Absolutely.
yeah, your system was really great to see in place. And the other thing that she didn't say, I won't give all your tips away. The other thing she didn't say that I loved was her bins are color coded. And so when the children put the items away, because I'm one of those who constantly was like fixing and putting away items, that's in the wrong bin, that's in the wrong space, that's on the wrong shelf. When it was color coded, it was easy for a 3-year-old to see this goes on this shelf, right?
Right.
Because this is where the blue bins go and that's where the yellow bins go. And of course,
Absolutely.
most of us are putting print and putting pictures as well, but that color coding really did make it so much easier. I cannot lie, I must confess. When I came home, I bought color coded bins. I did. I'll share some pictures in the YouTube clip here. I'll send some to Derek. But yes, I love it, and we use trays and we use bins thanks to you.
I,
So yeah, yeah,
you know what, Erica? I do have a secret that I want to share with the
sure,
because you mentioned itters and eckers.
yes, ma'am.
So there's always been a disconnect because of it's being so much information, so much that has to be consumed. So what we've done as far as a classroom model is that we then take what itters and eckers provides as a material list because in the appendix of each layout there's a material list.
Hmm.
They do recommend material in your centers. So here's a secret. You take that material list and you create your inventory in your classrooms around that material list. And then that material list becomes your closeout and it becomes your auditing process so that when you go in your classrooms, you know what you're looking for in your centers when you're closing out behind your teachers. You know what you're looking for. And then it's going to pass the accreditation or the quality rating process because
Hmm.
materials already in there, and then it's going to support your purchasing power when it's time to purchase because anything that's consumed, and we call them consumables because I'm not
Sure.
expecting for my classrooms to remain perfect with
Yeah.
the children, but I do expect for my equipment to be taken care of because those are big purchases.
Yes.
But
Yes, they are.
Itters and Eckers is a game changer, and so that way, unknowingly, you're able to go through the quality rating, go through the, star process, and win, and, like, get the best, highest score because your classroom is set up correctly, and you have the recommended material, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, it's already there.
Yeah, and I love what you say when you're auditing your material. So again, I will confess, I also didn't do that before. And one of the things I would say when I would go into classroom, I'm like, where's the XYZ that I bought? And they're like, it's gone. Like, I don't know. Like things disappear sometimes.
Yes.
So did it break? Did someone take, like you don't know? So it is great that you have that inventory list that says, teacher, when I give you this classroom, these are the things that are here that are not consumable. We know obviously crayons, paint, Play-Doh, those are things we're gonna need to replace all the time. I shouldn't have to replace the barn all
Mhm.
of the time, right? That should last for a bit of time. But yeah, so I think that that is a great little tidbit for folks out there who are not doing that.
Yes.
So yeah, so in what ways do you empower and support your teaching staff through your program system? So I know you're a coach, so how do you talk to your leaders that you're training and say, this system helps empower your teaching staff?
Mhm.
How does it help that?
Well, first of all, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you that you are saying, you know what, coach, I took what I learned and I implemented and you are a pro at this. You've been doing this for years. So number one is I always encourage my team to do exactly what you've done, which is to remain coachable and remain teachable no matter how long you've been in this industry. Somebody else can always just add to you. All right. And so that's the foundation of your interviewing process when bringing on people, is to make sure that they are coachable and teachable so that they can learn from you. Now, where many other directors and owners need to improve because they're doing it wrong is that they never set up the foundation. When you set up the foundation, then you're able to support the foundation with the proper tools and the proper resources and the proper training systems. So I teach my clients that to really have a team managed organization, you have to have a leadership academy. And so we go through the process of starting at the framework, the foundation, which is making sure that it's set up according to owner expectations, that is a clear framework that can be followed and duplicated throughout your whole organization, no matter if you have one location or multiple locations, no matter if you're direct in one location or if you are a regional director, you want to make sure that your rooms are set up using the framework. And so then once we use the framework, now we have to support it with tools. So we provide leadership tools for our team. And these leadership tools are proprietary systems that we've created that support the complete foundation of the classrooms or of the admin's role and responsibilities. And we follow this training tool, and we create a schedule. So that leads to the training schedule. We create a training schedule. So individuals that become a part of our organization, whether you are learning to provide this to your teachers or you're learning from me, I model that training schedule with all of my CEOs that are a part of our program. I model it so that they can go and then follow the same model with their team. And that is how all businesses work, is when you have a model in order to manifest. And so I've taken that training model, I train them on the model, they train their teachers using the same model. And then after your training, then you go into leadership. And so when you take a person from learning how to do the basics, now you offer them the opportunity to become a level 5 leader. And so this is a concept that I got from John Maxwell. I just listened to YouTube University one day. John Maxwell had this amazing video talking about the level 5 leader, and I went to work. I was like, I am worthy of having level 5 teachers in my organization. So I shifted in my mindset to going from, oh, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that, to, okay, I'm the woman for the job. I'm going to train my teachers to become leaders. And so here are some powerful words that I would say to my teachers every day. I said to them that once you master what I'm training you to do, you will no longer work for anybody, but you will have the tool set and the skills to run your own childcare. And guess what? Since the day I retired, these women have gone on to become millionaires, and they run their own childcare centers. You hear me? So
I hear you.
know that whatever I made up my mind to do to support these ladies in becoming level 5 leaders, that the words I spoke, the foundations that I put in place,
Mm-hmm.
the framework that I followed, the training that I would do. So I did this training whether or not they showed up or not. I showed up. I showed up ready. I showed up with the tools. I showed up with the outline. I showed up with the particulars that would take my vision to the next level, and I taught it to them. Some directors and some owners, they don't receive that. They need that. They need to be ministered to. They need to be motivated. They need to be led. And so then I take the CEO and I show them the difference between an organization that's led by a CEO and managed by a team, in an organization that is left alone. Because some owners, they own multiple locations and they leave it alone, and they think that everything is on a
Mm-hmm.
director, which is not. So I hope
Mm-hmm.
that I wasn't too long-winded, because this is my subject. This is what I love.
Yeah, I know.
Put me on your podcast. You
That's why you're here. That's why you're here. So, I want to say a couple things. So you hit on so many wonderful things. The first thing is, when you have all of these systems in place, and somebody leaves, or somebody's out sick, and you have a sub in that room. If that room is set up the right way, no matter what room they go in, they're not going to be lost. They're going to go, this is how it goes. This is the system. You know that no matter what room you're in. So there's that. Because if you don't have that system, one teacher runs a room one way, another teacher runs it a different way. So you don't have that consistency. You don't also have that consistency for your students. So right now it's graduation time. Imagine your 3-year-old room had a whole different system than your 4-year-old room. And now your kids move to the next room. You're starting all over again. So I think there's a great value in having some, of course, the personalities of the teacher will be different, but the basics are going to be the same. Like we know the green bin goes on the shelf in the science area. Like that's the same throughout your program, right? And I think, yeah, I get it, girl, right? And then I also think too, when you talk about your leadership academy, right? I'm very much from the same cloth of I grow my people out of my program. Like if you're staying there forever and ever and ever and you haven't had growth, I haven't done my job as a leader. So growing your people out of your program is okay. And I think people get really nervous about that. But I think it's a wonderful thing. It's not just the children who need to grow and continue to grow. It is also your team.
To write
But
this down, Erica. I didn't even know
but
that's what I was doing. Growing your people out of your
go,
Thank you, Erica.
yes, ma'am.
On that, honey. I'm gonna use that.
We're gonna go on the road together, Andrea.
Okay.
And so when you grow people out of your program, and the next person comes, moves up through your lattice, you have still that support from the other leaders in your organization. So it isn't like they're alone. So there's some camaraderie that happens. There's some energy or synergy that happens, and your business doesn't miss a step,
Yes.
right? So when because some places they'll build, like those absent owners, you're gone, right? You're in Tahiti under a palm tree and your director leaves and your staff goes with them and half of your parents. And you're like, oh, what happened? Well, you know what happened. But if you have leaders ready to go where if somebody leaves, the next person is already ready. They're already trained. And it's a little bit more seamless for your business. I think those are some great things that you had pointed out.
Absolutely.
So, goodness, there was
Erica,
something else I
you hit
wanted
it
to.
on the head when you said grow your team out of your
Mhm.
location. And I think too, if I can just talk, while
Yeah,
you interrupt me whenever
you go right ahead.
okay.
Go right ahead.
And so this is where a lot of CEOs and directors they want to be encouraged to move in this direction, which is because this is so key. They want to understand the level 5 leadership model. So if there's not a model that has been placed in place, then it's hard for directors to recognize how to groom their team, how to grow your staff, right? And so that's another framework that supports the progress that you're looking for from your team. And so it helps with the interview process because you said something that really is my cup of tea. I love what I call streamlining processes. And so one day it hit me like, oh my God, what hit me was how do I prepare a person to walk in my classroom before they are even hired? So then that's when the classroom in the box came to me. It was like, let's use this to prepare people before they are even hired, to know what they know and to expose them to what they're going to encounter when they get into the rooms.
Do not talk. Hold on. This classroom in the box was so fun and engaging. Girl, I loved it, loved it, loved it. And like I've been in the field a really long time. Me and my daughter did that activity together. I kept all the pieces. I brought the box to my school and we started moving our rooms around. I loved it. It was so fun. It was, and I think it just takes, especially like, let's just be real. The last 4 or 5 years have like kicked us in the teeth. We are tired. We like, and you almost kind of, so many people sold their centers. People that if they just held on a little longer probably wouldn't have sold, but they just were like gone, tired, really just soul tired. And it was so nice to go and kind of get re-energized. And that classroom in the box, again, was so fun and interactive. I don't know how much that sells for because you were gracious enough to give us one. But if you don't have one and you're thinking about redoing your classrooms, you have to check out her website. We'll put in the link below. She did not know I was going to say that. She doesn't sponsor my show. There's no deal here. I'm just saying I used it. I loved it. my daughter. So now you've got two people, a 50 something year old and a 20 something year old, who both equally enjoyed it. So that would tell me that your team, which is probably very diverse in age and all of the things, all could equally really enjoy putting a classroom together. And moving furniture around at 50 something years old is hard. So it was really nice to do it on paper first, because usually when I move a room, I'm like, I move it here. I'm like, nope, I don't like it there. And then I move it here. I know I'm probably the only one who does that, right?
No,
I
this is what
know.
we do.
No, no.
What we do.
Yeah. And you know, and the other thing this makes me think of, when I talked about growing someone on the team, this literally just happened to me like 3 weeks ago. So I have a teacher, her name is Marcy, and she's actually a licensed teacher in our state. She's been with me since she's 20 years old. About 3 weeks ago, she came to me and she said, I'm leaving. And I looked at her and I smiled and I said, what are you doing? And she said, I'm going to take my teaching degree that I've had for all this time and I'm going to go into a charter school. And I could tell this poor girl was so nervous. And I said, I am so proud of you. And she was a little like taken back. I said, I'm going to miss you like heck. I said a bad word there, but I'm going to miss you like heck, girl. But I am so proud of you. And I could just see that relief. And I said, I've been on the other side of that desk. There was a time I had to tell my boss I was leaving and I was going on to open up my own center. So, but I feel like sometimes people, when you start talking about growing your team, and my old boss was like that. I used to help people get accredited. And she's like, why would you want to help our competition get accredited? I'm like, so you don't get it. This is a community. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't take away from our program. I said, I'm here for the children in our community. And to me, the more quality centers that there are, the better, because honestly, and I don't want to take us off topic, but honestly, when you see the news, right, it's never the great programs. There's a million centers that do great work every day. And the only thing that hits the news is the teacher who gave a kid melatonin, or the kid that got left out in the yard. Listen, we're going to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's on the news, right? And there's so many wonderful leaders and we're all doing so much work. And I really appreciate the folks that didn't sell, that are still here. And that's really one of the reasons I started the podcast, was really, how do we help support each other? Because we are a community, right? And I think teachers need to love learning. And I love learning. I don't care. I say it all the time. I do not know everything. You do not know everything. I'm going to take the best of what you got and I'm going to suck it in. And I'm going to give you the best of what I got, and then we're gonna continue to do that. And the more that we do that as a group, as a industry, the better, right? And so I don't know.
And
Yeah.
I agree. And so you have to find your tribe, and so Erica, where my mentorship hat comes on is that we have a prayer line that my husband is over, and we just give scripture and supportive teaching for the renewing of the mind, because we have to have our tribe. We have to identify who are the people that are my get it girls, that get what I'm about, that's get what I'm trying to do. And so for us to put on that hat, I come on every Friday, and I typically have something inspirational that goes towards a biblical principle that helps the people that's on to renew their minds. Because there are times where, like you said, the lady was questioning you, like, why are you doing this? Why are you helping out our competitors? And it was no ill intent, think, on either side. It was just, she wasn't the get it girl. She didn't get what you were doing. And so now when you find your tribe, you're going to find a tribe of women who are supportive of the give back. You're going to find a tribe of women who are supportive of what your mission is. And so my mission is, I'm looking for just 20 women who are powerhouses all in themselves, because I want to take 20 women and show them a franchise type model that they can implement in their program and win with. So my vision for my Get It Girls could be different from yours, but that doesn't make my mission or my reality or my mindset. I'm just not on that level where you are at the time. And so that's when my mentorship hat comes on. And that's when one must learn how to recognize who they're called to. So can I just be really real on this
Yeah.
platform? You said this thing to me. You said, you've been doing this for a long time. Your YouTube is really one of the first before YouTube was ever a thing. But believe it or not, there are so many other great people who do what I do, but there's never been that engagement. There's never been that phone call. Like, this is one of the podcasts that I got a chance to be on and be my authentic self, because whatever the purpose or reason is, we're just not, we're in the same field, but not on the same lane. And so I respect that. And there's so many great people that do what I do, or we resemble in what we do, but
Mhm.
we are in the same field, but not on the same lane. And I honor and respect that. I used to try to figure out, well, what's wrong with me? Why hasn't nobody connected with me? Why are we not inviting Coach Andrea to speak on your platform? And why Coach Andrea is not inviting them to speak on their platform? It's because we all are on a mission. We all have our own
Yeah.
mission.
That's great advice. And you had talked about some of the folks that that you mentor, as a coach. I met a few of their ladies and they are amazing. So we had the wonderful lady who owns Diapers to Destiny.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about her. Yeah, yes, girl. Yeah. We talked about her CDA resources and what she's doing. And so that was great. And then Marjorie Mallard, we talked with her about her franchise model that
Yeah.
she's doing. I'm going to say the B lady because I can't remember the name of her business, but she does all those really cool pillows and stuff like that for emotions and stuff. So yeah, your your team is great.
Be educational. I got to give her a plug now, Erica. Let me say it right.
Yeah, say it right.
It's Be Sure Educational Solutions. Yes. Janie Truesdale. Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
That you got a chance to see my network, and they're powerhouses.
Yes, they are. Yes, yes, they are. And I'm sure there's many more. I'm sure there's many more. I could talk to you forever. I do have two other folks coming on, but so I want to make sure that before we wrap it up, is there anything that you want folks to know that we didn't touch on today?
Absolutely. I believe that the power of giving back is intentional, and important. And so I'm a giver. And so individuals that want to learn more about my systems and really see my mindset behind systems, I invite you to go to learnnewsystems.com. It's a webinar that I host. It's absolutely free. And when you go to this webinar, I'll be able to use the time that I have to pour into you and show you my framework and my systems. Erica, have you had a chance to be on one of those?
I have not, but I will certainly check it out.
You're welcome. And I think that once people know that they do have support, that there are, like, my goal is to attract my top 20 women, my powerhouse women. But while I'm on this journey, I never know who they may be. I never know who they are. They may not be the powerhouse today, but this one webinar can transform their mind and make them who I will be coaching one day. And so I sincerely hope that if you're listening and you're on and you're wanting to learn more about these systems, that you'll go to learnnewsystems.com and visit our webinar. Let me begin our journey together.
That's great advice. And for those of you who like YouTube, I love YouTube. For those of you who like YouTube, I'm going to tell you two things. We usually have one ask. We're going to ask two. We're going to ask you to go on over to the Childcare Director's Chair. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe. Derek's going to put all the subscribe buttons here. And Andrea, can you share with them? You have you have more than one channel, do you not?
Yeah, so if
You do.
watch me in my day-to-day, it's Andrea Dickerson. I blog about my day-to-day, doing business, running my businesses, being a mama. And then if you just want to see, like, my practical wisdom when it comes to organizing your program, then be sure to find me at I Own a Daycare on YouTube. So it's either Andrea Dickerson or I Own a Daycare.
All right. So hit all those subscribe buttons. And remember, it's the small details that make a big impact in the success of your childcare program. That's it for today. As always, have a great day. Bye.
Bye, guys.